When I think of the Eeveeloutions, I think back to that episode of the anime, The Battling Eevee Brothers, featuring the three brothers Rainer, Sparky, and Pyro, and how they wanted their little brother Mikey to choose which Eeveeloution he will evolve his Eevee into. He ends up not evolving his Eevee, which I think is a good outcome for that episode. Of the original three though, I'd have to say Jolteon is my favorite, Vaporeon was probably my second favorite, and Flareon, sorry buddy. When Pokemon Gold and Silver came out, it introduced two new Eeveeloutions in Espeon and Umbreon, and since then, Umbreon has been my favorite out of the bunch, even with Leafeon, Glaceon, and Sylveon being introduced in the series. Today though, we're focusing on one of these Eeveeloutions, and if you click the video, saw the thumbnail, you already know which one. Let's see how fast Jolteon can beat a solo run of Pokemon Blue. Rules are on screen but also in the description. In Generation 1, the three Eeveeloutions have a base stat total of 430. They all have a special stat of 110, which is great. One stat at 130, which for Jolteon is its speed, and 60 or 65 in the rest. For Jolteon, the high speed and special are great. After all, it is an electric type, it should be a special attacker. The frail attack and defense aren't going to help us for the early game when the first gym leader is Brock. And with a starting set of Tackle, Sand Attack, Quick Attack, and Thunder Shock, we have our work cut out for us. So let's jump straight into it. In Viridian Forest, I'm going to be battling all three bug catchers. While Jolteon can't one-shot the weak bugs even with a critical hit, at least it can bypass moves like Harden used by the Kakuna that I'll face on the second bug catcher's team, since Thunder Shock is targeting special and not physical defense. One thing I didn't mention in the beginning of the video is that Jolteon is in the medium fast level up group, so by the time I defeat the final bug catcher, I'm only level 8, which isn't going to cut it for Brock. And spoilers, level 10 isn't either. I did some testing to see if it was possible, and I couldn't even get by Geodude on my 5 attempts. So I'm sure you can guess what's coming next. Some good old Lightyear's Junior Trainer Blackout grinding. I'm not going to play every single Blackout in the background, but you're probably wondering what level we need if 10 isn't enough. I didn't do any early testing at levels 11 or 12, but doing some research in post, I did see J-Rose was able to defeat Brock at level 12, and that's with using a good Jolteon and not one with perfect IVs. The good thing about this Blackout training is that you can chip down the Diglett, then go for Thunder Shock on it and let it chip you down, knock it out, and lose to the Sandshrew as fast as possible, as long as it isn't spamming Sand Attack against you. I'm going to Blackout to level 13 above the next damage rounding threshold, and I really hope this is enough for Brock. Geodude is first. I spammed Quick Attack until it went for Defense Curl, which was unfortunately on turn 2, before switching to Sand Attack to lower its accuracy some so that I can have as much health as possible for Onix. This battle is slow as you can tell by how fast it's sped up, and after a few Defense Curls, my attacks are only doing 1 damage, and despite Jolteon having a 25.39% chance to crit on any given turn, I was not getting a lot of them. And the battle against Onix is even slower due to what seemed like it using Bide every other turn. The good thing is that Jolteon is much faster than Onix, so I don't have to worry about attacking into any Bides, and having both Quick Attack and Tackle gives me plenty of PP to get by the rock-solid Pokemon Trainer as we finally earn our first badge. Route 3 and Mount Moon are pretty uneventful. I do grab the candy while here, and I'm going to talk about candies a little bit later. After defeating the Super Nerd at the end of the cave, Jolteon reaches level 17. I'm back to my roots as I grab the Superior Dome fossil, and as I enter Cerulean, after setting my waypoint to the center, I enter Misty's gym. I take on the optional swimmer because they're quick experience, and now let's shock the water type specialist. Staryu is first. Thunder Shock is a 2-hit KO as its tackle does pathetic damage. Starmie is next, and Thunder Shock is a 3-hit KO as it doesn't bother going for Bubble Beam. But I'm sure you didn't expect Misty to be a challenge. Maybe the rival will be. After all, I still have to deal with Pidgeotto and the potential of Sand Attack, which I do get hit with after Thunder Shock fails to one-shot the bird, but I expected that. And thankfully, I don't have too many accuracy problems against the next two Pokemon Pokemon. Abra can't attack me, so no worry there. And while Rattata does deal about a quarter of my HP with its own quick attack, as long as I don't miss against Bulbasaur, I'll be fine. While I do miss twice with quick attack, it doesn't go for Leech Seed until the very end of the battle, which is good. Had it gone for it turn 1, things might have been different. Nugget Bridge is next, and the trainers here don't give Jolteon any problems. We do have to face at least one trainer with a Rock-type Pokemon on Route 25 though, and we have choices. There's the Elixir Hiker with a Machop and Geodude, there's the Hiker with 1 Onix, and then there's the Hiker with 3 Geodudes and a Machop. And no matter which you pick, the battle is going to be slow. Battling the Hiker with 3 Geodudes is a huge time waste, and we don't need to grab the Elixir today because Jolteon has plenty of PP, which brings us to the single Onix Hiker, and to try and make this battle faster and easier for myself, I taught Jolteon Bide. Onix does waste my time a bit going for Bind, which Bide only accumulates damage from the first hit. After 2 Bides, I go for Quick Attack to chip down the lone Rock-type Pokemon, and we have some more mandatory rock types coming up that we're going to be utilizing different strategies for. Let's skip ahead to the SSN. Jolteon is going to get a huge moveset upgrade in this section of the game. I can replace Tackle with TM08 Body Slam. I also grabbed the TM for Rest, but ended up not making use of this move. I also ended up grabbing the Gentleman Candy as well, which I'm still going to talk about candies later, but I just wanted to point this out. Rival 3 is a pushover. I'm able to 1 or 2 shot his entire team. Body Slam just being an overall power upgrade to the weak Tackle and Quick Attack is a godsend. Lieutenant Surge also doesn't cause any problems, and once we defeat him, we get access to TM24 Thunderbolt, arguably Jolteon's strongest move in the game, which I'm going to teach immediately over Thundershock. I know Thunder is a higher base power, but 70% accuracy is a turnoff for some folks. But remember during the Nugget Bridge section of the game how I said we have more mandatory rock types to deal with? Well, that's coming up in Rock Tunnel, but first, there's a ground type we have to deal with on the very first Pokemaniacs team in Cubone. I didn't save prior to this battle, and its Bone Club looks like it's a 3 to 4 hit KO. Thankfully, it just goes for Growl on turn 2, and Jolteon knocks it out with 3 uses of Body Slam, and the following Slowpoke is easy to clean up with Thunderbolt. But now we have the trainer all of you knew who I was alluding to prior, the self-destructing Hiker, and my strategy for this fight, go for Sand Attack and hope his rock types miss with self-destruct. I get 3 sand attacks up on the first Geodude, but it manages to hit me through the sand, bringing Jolteon to under half HP. If one more self-destruct connects, it's all over. I get pretty lucky on Geodude number 2 though. It blows up right away and misses from my 1 use of sand attack, bringing us to Graveler. Like with the first Geodude, I get 3 sand attacks up on it before it blows up, and thankfully it misses. No resets for Jolteon thus far in the playthrough. This brings us to Celadon City. After setting my waypoint to the center, I'm going to head through the Rocket Hideout because I want the extra items to sell off for vitamin purposes. We have to face Giovanni, and he has 2 rock types, Onix and Rhyhorn. I don't have Bide on my learn set anymore. I know I said I deleted Tackle for Body Slam earlier, but I deleted Bide for it. And after seeing Onix go for Rage immediately, I go for Sand Attacks to see if I can get it to miss, which I do eventually. I switch to Body Slam and end up paralyzing the Rock Snake and take it out with 6 uses of the move before moving on to Rhyhorn. Since this thing only has Horn Attack as an attacking move, I throw sand in its face until Giovanni uses a Guard Spec, before switching to Body Slam. Like with Onix, I end up paralyzing it, get some critical hits, and some misses from Rhyhorn sprinkled in between. Although I only have a third of my health left for Kangaskhan, as long as it doesn't crit, which its bite doesn't, we can just scrape by this one. During my Mart buy after getting Super Repels and selling off the stuff I don't need, the first thing I do is purchase a few copies of the TM for Reflect. This is a move I thought I would need later on in the playthrough, but it's another TM that I just ended up not making use of. On the top floor, my remaining money is going to go to Calciums. I might as well boost our main attacking stat for what's to come. After grabbing the HM for Fly, I fly back to Lavender Town to face the rival. Having Thunderbolt and Body Slam on my moveset, I get one-shots across the board, although the critical hit on Ivysaur probably mattered at the end, but this rival is rarely a problem. A high special stat and high critical hit rate make the Ghastlies no problem in Pokemon Tower. Once that's completed, I head to Cycling Road next, and I'm going to pick up a few optional battles. This guy with one Weezing, I grab the hidden rare candy, then this guy with two Weezings and a Coughing, this guy with a single Muck, this guy with a Muck and a Weezing, and finally, the guy Scott has dubbed the Biker Boss. Jolteon started this training at level 35, and it's just on the brink of level 38 at the end. I will reach level 38 and even level 39 off of the 2 mandatory jugglers in Koga's gym. Let's see if this is enough to deal with the Ninja Master. Coughing number 1, one-shot with Thunderbolt. Muck, one-shot with Thunderbolt. Crit probably mattered. Coughing number 2, one-shot by Thunderbolt. Weezing is last. Thunderbolt will be a 2-shot, but it goes for Smog, dealing pathetic damage. And that's an easy soul badge for Jolteon. Now that I can surf outside of battle, I head back to Pallet Town because I'm going to head to Cinnabar Island and Blaine's gym next. I'm going to grab 2 optional battles along the way, against the fisherman everybody calls Psych, and a swimmer with a Seadra and Tentacruel. It's quick experience. I'm also going to battle 2 super nerds in Blaine's gym that have a single Ponyta and Rapidash at level 41. I miscalculated my experience just slightly with this, and I should have subbed the Ponyta guy for one of the super nerds with a 9 tails, or I should have just used candies. I'm still going to cover that a bit later, probably when we get to the league, maybe even beforehand, but for now, let's take on Blaine. Growl at this first, and Thunderbolt crits, obliterating the fire puppy. We level up to 42 and can learn Double Kick, and I'm going to teach this move. I'll explain why later, but you could probably guess the Pokemon that it's useful against. The rest of the battle isn't difficult. I have to 2-shot the Ponyta and Rapidash does do a little bit of chip damage with Stomp, but I need to talk about Arcanine. Thunderbolt is going to 3-shot it. Turn 1, we get a takedown miss from it, and turn 2, after leaving Arcanine in red health, it hits a massive takedown that crits, but Jolteon survives with 10 HP remaining, and the recoil is Arcanine's undoing. Volcano badge in hand. Now let's backtrack to Silph. I'm going to head to the 10th floor to grab the Carbos and Rare Candy, and I guess I'll talk about candies now. I hoarded these things like they were solid 24 karat gold pieces. We all know electric type Pokemon not named Zapdos aren't the greatest in solo runs in Generation 1, and I thought I would need something like the upper 60s with Jolteon to beat the game, and I didn't want to back myself into a corner, but I was dead wrong, and it doesn't need anywhere close to that, which you'll see later on in the league. And overall, even though there are time saves here and there, I was proud of this run. And I thought to myself, if I had run this Pokemon in say 2022 or 2023, I probably would have gotten a time between like 4 or 5 hours in game time. And I've put off a couple redos like Hitmonchan, Raichu, and Aerodactyl for a few of those reasons. Raichu and Hitmonchan I played on Visual Boy Advance, so those old in-game times are a bad representation. Aerodactyl, I played that in late 2022 or early 2023 on RetroArch, and I got a time of 4 hours and 45 minutes with it, and I remember my goal with that was to be under 5 hours, and I wanted under 4:30 badly, but I know with some good planning, we can get that one probably under 3:30, but that's enough rambling from me. Let's go ahead and face the rival. This battle overall isn't hard. I take damage from his lead Pidgeot because it has priority quick attack, which of course crits, but I have one-shots across the board with Thunderbolt until Alakazam. We also level up right before Alakazam and learn our lone badge boosting move Agility. I know others have said this in the past, and I'm going to comment on it, but why do fast Pokemon learn Agility? Probably because they're already fast, so it makes sense in a way. Would you expect something that's super slow to all of a sudden become agile and fast? Anyway, against Alakazam, while Body Slam doesn't quite one-shot it, instead of punishing me with a critical hit Psybeam, it goes for Disable, disabling Double Kick, which I don't plan on using, because against Venusaur, Thunderbolt is going to be my best bet. Venusaur does poison me with Poison Powder and hit me with a Razor Leaf, which will always crit thanks to its base speed, but having 110 base special, we tank it pretty well. Thunderbolt 3-shots the Frog Plant, and a battle that's normally a pain is just a breeze. Giovanni's next, and he does get a brief mention, because Double Kick has a use here. I could have used it against his Kangaskhan for super effective damage, but Thunderbolt is just better. I am, however, going to use it against his Rhyhorn, and soon his Rhydon as well. I'm just glad that none of his ground types have any ground moves in this battle. One quick thing to talk about before we go into rapid fire gym leaders, I grabbed the TM for Mimic after Silph Co. This is used in one battle in the league, and I'll let you know when. Now, rapid fire gym leaders. Sabrina, easy. Body Slam and Thunderbolt one-shot everything except Alakazam, who just hits me with a weak Psybeam. Erica is next. She's also easy, but I was a bit surprised I didn't one-shot Victory Bell with Body Slam. But unless she puts me to sleep, there's no risk of losing this, especially when you outlevel her by over 15 levels. Giovanni for the final time. I actually battled an extra black belt to reach level 48 above a damage rounding threshold, but it wasn't needed. I should have just candied. Thunderbolt is completely useless in this battle, and I have to use a combination of Body Slam and Double Kick against his ground types. Things get a bit sketchy against Nidoking when it crits a Thrash, and I have 43 HP going into Rhydon, but Giovanni's AI just keeps spamming Fissure because it's super effective. The one-hit KO move is classified as a ground type move. I can slowly chip down the Rock Rhino with Double Kick, but I'm going to need a better option for the champion's Rhydon. Before I worry about the champion though, I need to worry about the trainers in front of me, starting with Rival 6. And overall, I play this battle terribly. I don't have to worry about Pidgeot, but against Rhyhorn, after a few turns of setup, I realize I'm going to level up before I get to Venusaur, and spoilers, I level up before Alakazam. I have to knock out the Rock type with 2 uses of Double Kick, and Gyarados is in that same category as Pidgeot, and knowing I'm going to level up after Growlithe, for some reason I think Agility is the play here. It brings me under half HP with a takedown before I move on to Alakazam, and this is looking like a loss. Body Slam does about half and inflicts paralysis to Alakazam as it goes for Recover. Not what I want to see, as my next Body Slam brings it back down to yellow health, and it rips a Psychic bringing me to 13 HP. I don't have enough health for Venusaur, and it did toy with me a bit thinking I could win. It just sets up with Growth, and I thought to myself, maybe my luck is going to continue. I get it down to less than a quarter of its HP, and then it finishes me with a Vine Whip for the first reset of the run. In the next battle, I don't even bother with setup. I get lucky with Alakazam going for Reflect so Thunderbolt can 2-shot it, once again making it to Venusaur. I stick with Thunderbolt on it, getting a nice critical hit with my second one before it starts to set up Growth, and instead of finishing me off with a Razor Leaf, it goes for Poison Powder. Never change, AI, never change. In Victory Road, I skip the candy and pick up one optional battle, which again, wasn't needed. I should have just not hoarded my candies throughout this playthrough like the world was gonna end. I end up taking on this cool trainer with 3 water Pokemon to get Jolteon to level 51, and with that, let's take on the league. Lorelei is first and we have Thunderbolt. There isn't much else to say. I do have to 2-shot the Jinx and Lapras, which both have a chance to attack back. Jinx does hit me with an Ice Punch, which luckily doesn't freeze, and while Lapras's Hydro Pump hits hard, it doesn't hit nearly hard enough. Let's move on. Bruno is next, and this battle isn't difficult. Thunderbolt the fighting types. You one-shot the Hitmons and 2-shot the Machamp. The Onixes are a bit slow to knock out, having to use Double Kick, but at least I can set up with Agility on the second one for some badge boosts. While it does go for Rage right away and Bruno uses a few X defends on it, and I even max out Onix's Rage counter, but it's still doing pretty pathetic damage. That just goes to show you how bad Onix's attack stat is. I end this one in green health. Before Agatha, I'm going to use 2 candies to get to level 55 above a damage rounding threshold, but at level 54, Jolteon can learn Thunder. I don't have a use for Double Kick anymore, so I delete it in its place. As far as the battle against Agatha, it's another easy one. My opening Thunder gets a critical hit on her Gengar, which one-shots it so I don't have to worry about sleep or confusion from it, and Thunderbolt is a comfortable 1 or 2 shot on her remaining Pokemon until the last Gengar. I switch back to Thunder against it, which hits after a few misses, crits, and paralyzes it. And Agatha decides to throw in the towel with a retroactive super potion. Lance is last, and you might be thinking that this one is another layup, and I thought so too, but I get the worst luck against Dragonair, not his first one. Thunder hits and crits to one-shot it, which is nice, but against his second, I hit my first Thunder doing over half, and instead of switching to Thunderbolt for more accuracy, I stick with Thunder, and I miss 4 times in a row. Dragonair is able to chip me down with Dragon Rages before firing off a Hyper Beam that crits to give me another reset. In the next battle, my awful Thunder luck continues against the first Dragonair. I do switch to Thunderbolt, which is able to 2-shot the middle stage evolution, but I only have 31 HP by the time I take them out. Aerodactyl thankfully isn't part Dragon type, and Rock doesn't resist electric attacks, so Thunderbolt easily one-shots. And I've got to go for the Hail Mary against Dragonite. Thunder misses as it goes for agility, but even after boosting its speed, Jolteon is still faster. It fires off a Thunder that hits, crits, and one-shots the dragon. Before moving on to the champion, it's one more moveset change. I'm going to teach Mimic in the place of Body Slam. Now Jolteon is ready for the final battle. Pidgeot is first, and you already know Thunderbolt is going to ground this bird. We can move on to Alakazam. I have Mimic just for this thing, and I want Psychic. It'll give me super effective damage against Venusaur and give me a good neutral option for Rhydon. Alakazam blesses the run, going for a turn 1 recover, and after Thunder deals massive damage, it sets up Reflect, letting Thunderbolt finish it off. Against Rhydon, I'm going to set up twice with Agility, and Psychic has to 2-shot it. It only chips me down a little bit with Fury Attack. Gyarados is next, and we've seen enough of Gyarados in this run to know how this ends. Moving on to Arcanine. I rip a Thunder that leaves the legendary Fire Dog on low red health and causes paralysis, but the champion uses a full restore. I switch to Thunderbolt just to have the 100% accuracy, and it gets a critical hit to one-shot it. Even though I level up and lose my badge boost going into Venusaur, I don't care, and the crits continue, as Psychic gets a critical hit to one-shot the champion's ace, and Jolteon has done it. This was a pretty fast run in terms of both real-time and in-game time. In terms of real-time, Jolteon finishes with a time of 48 minutes and 6 seconds at level 59, with an in-game time of 3 hours and 7 minutes, and for an electric type in Generation 1, that's pretty damn good. While it would be in the C tier on my tier list, it's still a very good time for this thing. If you're also wondering about my tier list rankings, go check out my Snorlax or Kangaskhan video from a few weeks ago. As always, thank you for the continued support on the channel. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing, leaving a like, leaving a comment, hyping the video, which I always forget about, and all of that other good stuff. I don't really put that in videos just because I always forget to, and I don't really think about it, but hey, if it helps the channel grow, I'm all for it. I will have the other 2 Generation 1 Eeveeloutions coming within the weeks, along with seeing how the newest one does in its home region. That run and route are a work in progress though. Special shout out to my channel members, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Take care everybody.